Hello everyone, welcome to the Little Black Couch on this fabulous Tuesday. Isn't it Tuesday? Wednesday? Tuesday, I don't know. Whatever day of the week it is, when you're an entrepreneur, every day's the same day and they're always great. So anyway, thank you for joining me today on this very special live. A lot of good things have happened and so I'm excited to talk about them. And I just want to jump right into it. So let's get going. A new sponsor, which is kind of cool. So we'll just jump right into it. Right. Jazzy. Very jazzy. Thanks for being back with me. I appreciate it for sticking around. I hope that you all got up like I did and danced a little bit to our intro video. So a couple things. I mentioned it just earlier that we've picked up a new sponsor, so I wanted to bring them in right away because it's so exciting for us. Facebook Live Secrets has been recently opened up and sponsoring the show. So super excited about that. Got a great deal going on. I actually learned how to do Facebook Lives from the gentleman who has launched this wonderful program. So if you go to the friendlygiantfilms.com FB Live Secrets right there, you can sign up for yourself and see what all this good stuff is about. So Facebook Lives have become a lot easier. In fact, he's even showed me how to do stuff like this. I can even bring up his webpage. It's right there. So if you go there, you've got to the right spot. Go ahead and sign up for his Facebook Live program. And you can do all this kind of cool stuff too. Now, I know I've probably now made myself some competitors out there on Facebook Lives, but hey, I don't care. This is good stuff and it's a good place to be. So definitely go check that out, Facebook Live Secrets. I'm going to leave that up for the show. In fact, I'm going to adjust this a little bit. So my framing, which I also was taught there in Facebook Live Secrets, right here. Facebook Live Secrets can be found right down on that URL, right there. So jump on in and take a look at that. It's a great way to get started if you're wondering about Facebook Lives and how to do them. And I didn't really want to get into Facebook Lives. I'm an old-time entrepreneur. I've been doing this for quite some time, and we used to do things very differently. There was no way to live stream back when I got going. Back in my day, you just stood out with signs on, right? I mean, you didn't do Facebook Live. So making the change, making the adjustment, I appreciate for some coaching that I received from one Nick Fitzgerald. So check that out. It's very cool. For sure. I need to check that out. Okay, so thanks for being here. As you saw in sort of the title, I wanted to talk a little bit about perceptions because perceptions are very powerful. It's just a little mental exercise, but they make a huge difference in your business and as an entrepreneur. And I learned this 10 to 12 years ago. Obviously, we hear about perception a lot. It's taught to us a lot. And we think that we've got some sort of a handle on our perception and how we're seeing the world, but we don't. We don't necessarily. And so that's this whole idea of perception can change really everything for us. And so I wanted to bring in Buddy real quick. He always kind of gives us and shares our theme a little bit, and I really appreciate Buddy doing this here. You can kind of see there that, let me see. I can go ahead and, does that make it? You can still see. There you go. So yeah, whether you are going to be, kind of ticked off by what happens to you in your life or whether you're going to, see stars and see opportunities is really all based on perception. Okay, so back to it. Oh, let's turn those back on. Where did those go? I need those back on. Boom and boom and boom. They're there. Okay. So that's what I wanted to talk about today. And again, as I mentioned, this happened, I'm in a golf mastery group, and I have been for quite some time now. And this coach of ours there, his name's Fred Shoemaker. He's a brilliant man. He wrote, it's the best book on golf. If there's any golfers out there, this is the book, Extraordinary Golf, Art of the Possible, Fred Shoemaker. Really good dude. He's an awesome golfer, but he's even a better coach and mentor for sure. And mentors are awesome to have as you go through life. And he is very good on the life side of it. And we were discussing one day it was about golf, but it was about how can we control our reaction to a bad golf shot, which sounds maybe not that difficult, but because the action of swinging a golf club is such a fast action and it's really impossible to control with the conscious mind, you have to kind of tap in, get out of your own way and let the subconscious mind kind of run that thing for you, that it becomes very difficult and very frustrating. And so there is a lot of anger. You hear a lot of jokes from Mike Leach, in fact, said that he goes to play golf to practice his swearing, right? So golf can be very frustrating. That's one of the big jokes of it. And so we were discussing how to make it so we were not so freaked out and disappointed by different golf shots. And so he asked us the question. Fred posed the question, hey, why are we so upset when we hit a bad golf shot? And we sat there thinking about it, and we're like, well, because we learned that it's not good, or, the cost of golf balls have gotten ridiculously high, or, it's evolutionary perhaps, or I just have a short temper, whatever. Learned behavior from my grandfather, may he rest in peace. I don't know. We were kind of throwing stuff out there. And he came back with the response of, it's because you're going to do it again. And we're like, what? Where are you going with this, Fred? And he explained it. It's like, look, if I told you that after your next bad shot, you will never hit another bad shot, they will only be good shots from that point forward, how would you feel about your next bad shot? And we were like, dude, we'd want it. We'd want to go hit the next bad shot as quickly as we possibly could, so we'd never have to hit another one. So our perception of that bad shot just changed in a second. And so it wasn't the bad shot, it was what the bad shot meant that caused us the real grief. And so we're like, okay, that's amazing. That you can, simply by changing a little thought in your mind, change the whole situation from a very negative one to a positive one, from being terrified and upset of the next bad shot to, yeah, bring it on. Give me the next bad shot. And obviously over the years, as I've thought about that as a father and as a husband and as an entrepreneur, that has a very powerful effect on how we see and how we react to certain circumstances and stimuli, frankly. And we can change all of it. And this kind of it kind of came up again in life, and it did a number of times. But my wife and I were having some trouble with with one of our kids. And it wasn't necessarily trouble, but we weren't real happy with our current situation. And we wanted to change it, but we didn't feel real comfortable doing that because one of our kids was in a school that he enjoyed and felt comfortable with. Like, we wanted out of that place, and yet we felt like we needed to stay so he could finish up school. And so we sat there and we were discussing it, and we're just like, oh, this stinks. We don't want to stay here anymore. We don't like this neighborhood. We don't like this house. We want to get out of here. And yet, man, we just were held there because he was having such a good time, and it was such a good experience for him. And we started talking about it, and we changed the perception. And we said, hey, if staying here means that he finishes and is well-adjusted and happier the rest of his life, would that change it for us? And we're like, yeah, it would. Absolutely. We'd stay here and not complain about it and be thrilled with it. I mean, you could tell me if you stayed and lived in a tent for the next year, your child would be exponentially happier for the rest of his life. Would you do that? Yeah, give me the tent. I'm in there. And I hate camping, but I'd do it for that. So it wasn't changing the situation. We still were there. Everything was still in the same spot in the house. Nothing had changed, but literally in the matter of seconds, we flipped that thing on its head, and now we were grateful to be there. Now, is that what's going to happen? Don't know, don't care. We just changed the situation by changing our perception just a little bit. So as an entrepreneur, we need to make sure that we are always in the best possible spot to recognize opportunity. And so when things go badly, and they will, they always do, stuff just goes badly sometimes, and it's not necessarily at work. I mean, sometimes things just go poof, right? Kapooey. And they go up in flames and the smoke blows up, and how do we perceive that? Now that's the difference. So if we say things to ourselves, let's say something really, we lose a big client, and we say to ourselves, yeah, but if this means I'm going to learn something so the next client I get is even better, how would I feel about it then? Way better. You flipped it on its head and it's better. If today I don't get anything done that I want to get done, but that means, and I say to myself, but that means, maybe that means tomorrow I get 3 times as much done. How does that make you feel? Great, I'll take that. That's a great exchange rate. So it's just a matter of changing your perception and getting really good at it. And it takes practice, but it's something that if you practice, we talk about those neural pathways, they develop, they get really good, and then the bad things happen, you're like, dude, okay, let's see how I can turn that into a positive situation. A lot of good things come from that. One, you're in a much better spot to notice opportunities. You're in a much better spot to stay connected with the world and worry about other people's problems and come up with problems for that. But on top of that, you never know when that is actually going to turn around and happen. So I'm really jazzed today, this morning. I've been super excited to work, and probably why I went a little bit live. Hi, Jenny. Probably why I went a little bit early is so I started this project about 18 months ago, and it was with a couple partners, and we were trying to come up with a product that would be really cool in the real estate industry. And it was sort of coupled with solo SEO. And we were trying to come up with something that would make it easier for real estate agents to maintain their social media account, to increase engagement, that kind of thing. And so I came up with this idea and went out and created it and built it all out. And we went and presented it to a lot of people, and they're like, yeah, this is really great. This is an awesome product. This will help engagement. We had the proof. We gave them all demo accounts, and we ran it for them, and we showed them. But they came back and said, you know what, but we would really like it if our logo, if it was branded for us. If you could brand everything for us, that would make it really, really cool. And so we went back to the drawing board and tried to figure it out. Well, I couldn't figure it out. I couldn't solve the problem. At least you could solve the problem by hiring, offshore or something like that. But that just became convoluted and crazy and a management nightmare. And we have teams in India, and we had teams in the Philippines, and we've programmed in the Ukraine, and had different places all over the world where we've programmed. Scotland actually is pretty good. Ireland is pretty good programmers. We've actually had some programmers in India as well. So we've been all over the place, and which again, if you're going to get stuff, here's a little life hack here for you folks. If you're going to have your stuff built overseas, don't give it all to one programming group. Split it up and then have it pieced together here in the States. Otherwise, it's just going to get stolen. Happens every single time you give an entire project to one group, especially in Asia. Okay, just be forewarned. But we've had it happen in Russia too. So anyway, all right, let's go back to things here. So where are we? There. Okay. So anyway, back to it. Yeah. A little life. Was that appropriate? I don't know if that was appropriate. Anyway, so this particular problem reared its ugly head again as I began publishing for, it's a little bit of a different problem, but I wanted to solve this thing for my own stuff, right? So if you could publish and do some things, if there was a way to automate kind of, and I love automation, if there was a way to automate all that and create a lot of cool stuff from that, then that would be super helpful for all of us that are trying to figure out how to market online. And obviously, Facebook Live's a great way to go, but there's a lot of other platforms as well. And is there a way to totally leverage, I'm going to bring Janie in. Yes, Janie's probably had some experience there as well. There is a lot of risk. Avoid it, please, folks. Don't get involved in that. Woo, brutal. Thanks, Janie. So last night at about 11 o'clock, again, my brain's been, I'm just not very smart, right? It takes me 10 times longer than most folks to come up with answers. But this particular one had been kicking around in my head for about 18 months. And last night at about 11 o'clock, it finally broke free, right? And you have those situations where it's like, are you kidding me? That's it? And you run it through your head, you grab your computer, you throw a few things together, and an hour later I'd built out a little something and I ran it and it spit out everything exactly as I wanted it to. Now, I want to automate it a little more on both sides, but the problem was solved. Okay. And I never allowed that. Now, it didn't work out. The real estate guys kind of said, no, if it doesn't do this, we're not interested in it. But I looked at that and said, okay, if I can solve this someday, this would be a big deal. And that's it. I just turned it wasn't a disappointment. I learned a lot of stuff. It just wasn't a fit at that particular time. But I left in my head the perception of, but if I can solve this someday, it will be a big deal. And it's solved. I solved it last night. And I'm thrilled to see if we can automate it a little bit more. But I was so, I'm still jazzed, right? I like, it's all been about this all morning long, and I can't wait to get back to it. It's been a long time coming, but it was the perception that got me there, and it's the perception that's going to keep all of us going forward. So no matter what happens that comes across as an entrepreneur, if you are able to quickly turn it on its head and turn it into something positive, where you can say, yeah, but the next time, if this means that the next time it's going to work, if this failure means that the next time it's going to be better than ever, or if this particular disappointment means that next time I visit this or when it comes back around, it's going to be 100 times better than it would ever be if I finished it now, that will change your perception and change your total mood and change your ability to be a problem solver, to just stay in the moment and be ready for the next problem and opportunity to jump on it. Okay, so that's really all I had to say. I'm going to jump off because I'm way pumped to get back going at this automation. Super, super excited. I am absolutely pumped. So I am going to leave you with a little bit of a motivational video.
We just want you to know,
as a mate,
you're amazing!
you're the bomb.com, bro. Thank you so much.
Thank you for that clarity.
Cheers, man.
Cripes.
Oh, I'm sorry. I got to watch that every once in a while. Thanks for joining me. Perception is so important. Please practice this. If anything goes wrong today, if something doesn't go just about right, ask yourself, yeah, but if this is the last time this happens and the next time it comes up, I do this with it, or it's not a problem, or it could mean the world to my family, or whatever it is, just change it. It doesn't matter if it's true. Your brain will just see it as a more positive experience, and you'll go on feeling better about life. I can promise you that. Thanks for joining me. Until next time, do good and be well. Thanks.